Here's 11 mistakes I made as a beginning backpacker, and I hope you don't do them as well.
I am dying right now. And I think I am getting some altitude sickness. I haven't really had an appetite at all, kind of a low-grade headache.
What do you have to tell the camera about the climbs today?
Stick around for the end of the video because I'm going to give you a bonus tip of how you can crush miles on a thru hike or just even a weekend backpacking trip. Let's get into it. Number one is I didn't use trekking poles. I didn't use trekking poles for the longest time. And the reason was because I thought only, well, I'll just say it, old people. I thought only old people use them and they look silly. They are four-wheel drive for your legs, and going up, going down, it's gonna save your knees going down, and it's gonna save your exertion levels going up. What you gotta do is you gotta shorten them for the way up, and you gotta lengthen them when you're going down. Number two is I didn't realize how much altitude was gonna affect me when I was at some of these higher elevation hikes. And let me tell you, altitude will f you up. Really take the time to acclimatize, and if you think you're gonna go into an high elevation hike without acclimatizing or without and having never been into a high elevation before, you're gonna get walloped. That's what happened to me on the John Muir Trail. How to mitigate that is you gotta take your electrolytes with you, and I also have been taking recently this stuff by Wilderness Athlete. It's gonna kick your butt for the first couple days, and then hopefully you'll be able to work out of it though. Number three, while we were just talking about electrolytes, is the fact that I never did take electrolytes. I firmly remember a time in Hell's Canyon. I cramped so bad that I had to crawl on the trail. I literally had to crawl up the trail. I had some salty snacks and eventually it remedied it. I really figured out, especially on the JMT, how critical electrolytes can be for you. And so now I take them actually on every single hike. Number four, buy once, cry once. Have I been a victim to this? It's not a victim because it's my fault, but I like to say that I'm a victim. If you really think you like backpacking or you're really getting into backpacking and you know it's gonna be a lifelong thing, just get the expensive gear. I will guarantee it, you are going to end up getting the expensive gear anyways in the long run. You might sell your old gear, but you're still ending up losing money out of this whole deal. So just buy once, cry once, get the expensive gear. It's going to pay off in the long run. Number five is never packing enough calories. So what this will look like on trail is you will start to what's called bonk. I'm also bonking because I didn't bring enough calories for the second time with David. So we got some fixing up to do, man. You're going up a hill, up an incline or something like that. You will all of a sudden feel no energy, or you'll get real hangry on trail, right? And so making sure you're bringing enough calories. How do you do this? It's really helpful to count calories. Now, I've started to do this during trail running, and so I know how many calories I need for a certain day or a certain mileage or a certain vertical. You can't just look at miles because the vertical is going to increase the time that you're on the trail, because it's gonna make you slower because you're going uphill. So I would take into account miles predominantly, how long it's gonna take you to do that, then factor in the vert and how long that span is, and then go from there and count your calories out. Number six is obviously I packed way too much shit. And everybody's victim to this when they first start backpacking because you pack your fears. For me, what this looked like was, one of my first section hike, I was carrying everything in the kitchen sink. I mean, I was carrying a heavy lacrosse balls, I was carrying a huge jet boil, I was carrying Crocs. What I did after that, as soon as I got home, I laid everything out, and everything I never touched or was too lazy to touch or whatever on the trip, I discarded and I threw it out. Not your first aid kit, but throw all that stuff out that you didn't use. One of the biggest things I see beginners do is they take a full roll of teepee. When is the last time you used a full roll of teepee in a weekend? There's two things on your backpack that make a huge difference when you're backpacking. One is the hip belt. You have to really cinch your hip belt down. When you do that, you put your weight, most of your weight will then go into your hips rather than your shoulders, which really makes your neck hurt, makes my head hurt, makes your back hurt, makes it very, very uncomfortable. Now, the other thing is you wanna make sure your load-bearing straps on your pack are cinched tight too, because if they are off, everything's gonna be on the hip. So you wanna be kind of equally dividing your hip and your shoulders, right? So you can get that load on each part of it, and so one place isn't carrying an exorbitant amount of weight. One tip I forgot real quick as I'm editing this is I used a pump water filter for the longest time until I switched to what was called the Sawyer Squeeze. This is 100 times faster and more efficient than the pump filters, and something that I always see beginners using is a pump filter for whatever reason, but this is just as effective and way faster. Like I said before, number 8, vertical is tough. It's gonna take you longer on things that have more incline, and you'll start realizing as you hike more how much vertical is too much, or how much vertical is when it starts to get difficult. And again, you have to plan accordingly because it's going to take longer when you have a lot of vertical. When I've guided people that come from the Midwest or something like that and they aren't very used to it, around 2,500 feet of vertical, and I think Andrew Skirka actually says this too, is where I see most of them start really hurting and not wanting to go much further. So just keep that in mind. Your first few hikes or through hikes or whatever, keep your daily vertical maybe down between 2,500 feet of overall vertical for the day. Now, I'm gonna get a bunch of crap for this one, but number 9 is wearing boots. Now, boot people, you really can't convince me that a small piece of leather around your ankle is gonna keep you from rolling it. Every pound on your foot is equal to 5 pounds on your back. Trail runners have absolutely revolutionized the game for me. Once you switch to them, I don't think you will ever go back to boots except for in the winter. But I'll be honest with you, sometimes in the winter, I still wear trail runners. Number 10 goes along with the trail runners is getting gaiters. I used to think gaiters were really stupid looking, really silly looking, until I got onto the JMT. And the first day was like I was walking on a beach and I was flipping sand up into my shoes. First thing I did when I got back was I bought gaiters, and I've never looked back since. They're with me for every trail run that I do, every through hike that I do, and it's just amazing because 1, your shoelaces don't come untied, and 2, they just don't get the dirt and stuff that will cause blisters into your shoe. And then number 11, try to go with someone that has already been there and done that. Try to find a mentor. You can kind of vet them, see if you might get along, and then ask them if they want to go on a hike or something sometime, or a little bit longer backpacking trip. But I will tell you this, you are going to learn so much quicker with a mentor than you are by yourself or watching YouTube videos. Now, how to hike more miles during the day. Pretty simple, get up earlier in the morning. I know, but hear me out. Everybody on trail would ask me, was I hiking so many miles? I wake up, and I don't even really wake up that early. I try to be on trail by 6:15. The advantage here is that you're hiking during the colder part of the day. If you do want to crush miles, you have to be up early because you're going to be hiking during the cooler part of the day. You're going to be faster, you're going to be fresh. If you wake up and you lollygag around camp and you leave at 9 a.m., it's already pretty much hot out, especially in the summer. By 9 a.m., I'm already 6 miles in by that point, probably more. There's no distractions, there's nobody on trail, and it's just a very peaceful time to hike as well. I'm gonna leave a couple links here for the through hikes that I have done before. If you found value in this video, please give me a like, subscribe. If you didn't like it, please hit that thumbs down button twice, and we'll be good.